So the session that we're going to do this afternoon, we're going to go ahead and get started, is called It's All in Your Approach. And it truly does focus in on what can we do as we're trying to help people who have dementia live lives that make sense, and how can we make our lives more effectively helpful to people rather than getting ourselves in trouble. Because all too often it's so easy to think it's all them. And what we don't realize is we start a lot of what ends up being a problem for folks. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to say, first of all, I have some beliefs, and it takes two people to tango, which is an absolutely gorgeous dance where two of you are moving together and you're just like, wow, that's cool. Like Dancing with the Stars, where you go, wow, I wish I could do that. Or it takes two people to tangle. And way too often in dementia care, we spend way too much time tangling and not enough tangoing. And the reason that happens way too often is because we as caregivers don't get it. And here's what I'm going to show you. You'll need a partner for this. Okay, so go ahead and turn to somebody you're sitting with. So you'll need a buddy. And if you don't have one, you end up with me. I'll warn you about that right now. Guess what? You're mine. Okay, you're a trained dancer. We'll sit down for just a second because you have dementia. Good. All right, decide between the two of you which of you has dementia. And enjoy the moment, because in real life you don't get to do this. It just happens, you know. All right, so here's what you're going to do. Person with dementia. I want you to decide whatever I've asked you to do, whether it's, you need to take a bath, or I need to change you, or this is your medicine, you need to take whatever it is, you go, no, I'm not going to do that. And what I want you to do to show them, no, I don't want you to do, is I want you to take your hand and say, talk to the hand. So I just want you to take your hand out and go, no, I'm not doing it. So go ahead, person with dementia. Yep, person with dementia, stick your hand out.
Talk to the left.
Talk to the left, because you ain't right. Okay, good. All right, now, caregiver. I want you to know you're right. You're correct that he needs to go ahead and get changed. You know that. I mean, he's been sitting there for 2 hours. You know he's drenched. So what I want you to take your hand, put it up against his, and push back. Person with dementia, what does it make you want to do? Push harder. Caregiver, give them another shove because they aren't getting it. Let me ask you something. Where are you going? Nowhere. And one of the most important messages, when what you're doing is not working as a caregiver, stop. Stop doing what you're doing and back off. If you forget everything else, just back off, because what's happening there, the more you resist their resistance, the more they resist, they're going to resist you. This is basically they're reacting to you. So if you don't like it, you're the one with the big brain. Stop. Stop. Ease off. Now, notice I didn't say go away. I didn't say give up. I didn't say just, whatever. That's not what I said. I didn't say let them do whatever they want to. What I said is back off a little bit. So he's resisting. Put your hand up, but instead of pushing back, ease off. And now slip to the side. And now slip to the other side. And now slip back. And pretty soon, notice what's happening. You're dancing. Ta-da! You just learned the tango. But who started off in the lead? Person with dementia. And that's what we've got to realize. We've got to let them feel like they're in the lead. They take the first step, and we figure out where they are, and then we match our steps to theirs. Rather than trying to make them, Mom, you know this. Why are you doing this? You have sat there 2 hours. Get up. Get up, Mom. Is this going to help? Because what does it make you want to do? Are you feeling like you want to cooperate with me? What do you feel like you want to do to me? Because remember, in addition to your problem, y'all, most of you in this room are young. The reality is she's been my mother. I mean, she has 50 years of being my mom. Is this working for her to be bossed by me? She is going to say, listen to me. I'm going to tell you something. I brought you in this world, and I'll be happy to take your sorry butt right back out. Do you hear me? I've never met such a smart-ass little girl in my life. I don't know where you get this. Now, this is a good church-going lady who would never, ever have said those words. And what you're going to find out is she is going to say those words. That's not her. That's the disease. That is the disease. This whole thing is the disease, and we got to let go of thinking it's all about us. And it's all about them. And it's all about this disease and what we choose to do about it. So you want to learn how to dance with somebody instead of fight with them. Because it's not going to do you any good. You can fight. It's just not going to do you any good. Here's the second message. Being right will not necessarily translate into a good outcome. Give me your car keys. You can't drive anymore. Here, I'll just take them. See, you've had 3 accidents, and your insurance, they just said you can't do this anymore. Let me just get these off right now. I've got them. Now, you'll just take the bus from now on. Is this going to work? No. What's going to happen? Why? Because I'm right.
I've been driving all these years.
That's right. Well, you're not safe.
How are you to come tell me I cannot drive?
Well, the doctor told you can't drive anymore.
Who is he to tell me I can't drive?
Well, he knows this stuff, Mom. You have dementia.
Well, I mean,
Well, you can't have your keys. I have people who truly will call AAA. They'll get another set of keys made. They will rent a vehicle. I've had people actually rent cars. And I've had them they had another set of keys. And they just got them out. And they couldn't remember where they put anything. They remembered where those keys were. Because they care a lot about it. So realizing that we can't just go by what's right, we've got to figure out how to make her okay with not driving, and fussing at her is rarely the right solution. I mean, it doesn't tend to help. The next thing, it is always your relationship that is most critical for success. Having a good relationship with somebody, that's what makes the difference. If you like me, you'll let me get away with stuff a lot more than if you don't like me. So if I come in here and I say, oh my God, what have you got on your shirt? You have been in this shirt for a week. My Lord. I mean, you've got lunch on it. You need to put something on fresh. This is ridiculous. Here, take this off. Oh my God, I cannot believe. Look at you. You look horrible. It's not? Okay. How many of you would want to be around me if that's how I started a conversation? If I walked in and said, oh my Lord, what are you doing like that? Mom, you can't go out like this. People are going to see you. Or, oh, good grief. You can't wear this. This looks terrible on you. Take this off. I'm going to lean forward. I just cannot believe that you... What did you do to your hair? This is ridiculous. Oh, yuck. I mean, did you wash it or not? I mean, how many people want to be treated like they're wrong and it's nasty? Instead, what if I walked up to the person, well, hi, how are you? Well, you look good.
thank you.
Well, you have the prettiest eyes. Where did you get those eyes?
I don't know.
Mama or Dad?
Mom.
Oh, yeah. You do favor her. Listen, would you do me a huge favor?
What?
I'm thinking you would look better in peach.
Okay.
Come on, I think we've got something. Come here, let me show you. I didn't need to say anything ugly about what she had on. I didn't need to say, oh my heavens, what have you... Mom, you smell like urine. Or, you need to get up. You've been sitting there for 2 hours. You can see the look in her eyes. I'm not getting up. Okay? So it's working to have a decent relationship with somebody before you try to get them to do things. That matters. We've got to break this system down. What we do is we get focused on the task. We get focused on what we need to get done, whether it's family or whether it's professional. Because even if I'm a professional, it's real easy. I've got my list of things I've got to get done. And one of them is giving you a shower. And if I walk in, but that's the first thing on my mind. But I mean, that's the problem. I mean, we expect these folks who have damaged brains to understand we're here for health care. And in their mind, they're fine. They don't need any help. They know when they need to take a shower. I mean, what do you mean? But let me ask, how many of you are really comfortable getting naked in front of another person while they keep their clothes on? And then letting them help you in and out of a shower? How many of you think that's normal for you? I mean, it's like it just doesn't feel right. It's just... And then what if instead of one person, we use two? And what if when you give us trouble, we add a third? How many of you are signing up for that? How many of you are going, I'm not going in there? And what we start seeing is people at the door of the shower area. No, I'm not doing this. No, you're not. I'll kick you. Don't you get in front of me. Don't you do it. I'll pump you. Get out. I'm getting out of here. I am getting out of here. You can't make me. Who started that? Caregivers. Caregivers by not listening and not responding and thinking that we can force it. If we just push hard enough, what were we doing? Putting our hand up and pushing back. That's an old attitude. That's not state of the art anymore. We have moved away from that. There's lots of ways to get people clean. There is no law in the land that requires us to sprinkle or dunk them at regular intervals. We can get people much cleaner standing in front of us, instead of in front of a sink and doing a sponge bath, covered with a beach towel, than I can trying to strip them naked and screaming getting into a shower area. We've just got to redo some rethinking. We've got to sort of figure out what's happening and what's not. I will also tell you, as part of this disease process, people do tend to develop typical patterns. And the patterns include how they talk, how they act, how they react, how they respond, language. It's all there. And I can tell you how it's going to be because I've been doing this for almost 29 years professionally. But I can also tell you this is how it's going to be because the diseases are fairly predictable in their pattern of attack on the brain. Having said that, let me be very clear. When you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia. And each person's experience with this disease process is going to be unique. What's not unique is the disease. The disease is fairly predictable. So what it means is once I understand the disease, I can look for variations. I can also sort of look at what's going to be a common factor for folks. And we're going to talk about some of those common things that people are going to be experiencing and how they're going to react and respond. What's the range of responses? Because this disease is a killer. It's the 5th leading cause of death for people over the age of 65 at this point in time. It's huge, and the numbers are going up. And we really very rarely actually pick up on the disease in its earliest stages. And when we notice it at all, what we tend to say is she's so stubborn. She has gotten so stubborn. Or, what is going on with her? I mean, she's not logical. This is not rational. She drives me nuts. And what you don't realize is what you might be describing are the very early stages of a disease process that's getting underway. And only 20% of the time do doctors identify it in the early stages. It's not till mid-disease that most dementias are being identified and diagnosed. Mid-disease. That means it's been going on, and we've been seeing some symptoms of it for anywhere from about 2 to 5 years. And so there's a lot of stuff that's already developed behavior-wise between my caregiver and the person who has the disease that's not healthy. Because we've been saying for 5 years, don't you remember we've had this conversation? Why did you bring this up again? I told you your appointment is not this Tuesday, it is next Tuesday. Where did you get in your mind it was this Tuesday? So you do this, you drive. Daddy, it's 2 in the morning. 2 in the morning. Why are you calling me to go to the doctor? It is not until tomorrow afternoon. And what we don't pick up on is, hello, this is not stubborn. This is not ornery. This is not choice. This is the disease. And we don't have a new strategy. We haven't changed our approach, our behavior, so all we do is get angry and frustrated. You've called me 15 times. Oh, I didn't know that. When did I call you? I just got off the phone with you. No, I haven't talked to you. And we stand there, we'll argue with them. We got to quit the arguing. It doesn't do us any good. So the question usually, when I'm asked, how do you do this? Well, the question usually is, what's wrong with this person? Why are they doing this? They will say, why do they resist care? Or, why is this person so aggressive? He's so combative. And we say, why does this person cause so much trouble? And here's what I want you to say instead. We need to think through. We need to problem solve, not judge people. We need to become better detectives and not judges. We got plenty of judges in the world. What we need are better detectives, people who are willing to think through things, problem solve things. You need to know the person. You need to build your skills as a caregiver. And you need to create and control the environment. Those are the 3 major factors that we can do something about. The better you know the person, the more effective you can be as a caregiver. And you need to know them not only now, but who they've been. The more you know about their life history, the more you know about their life preferences, their personality traits, the more you know about life events that have mattered to them, that's where you really can make a difference, and you can actually be a much more effective caregiver. And I'm going to give you some for instances. Then building your skills, and that's what we're going to work on this afternoon. What are some specific skills that you're going to work on, that you're going to get better at, so that you have the skills you need to be a good caregiver? And the reality is, caregiving is not for everybody. There are some folks, they can love the person intensely. They could be absolutely committed to that person, and they can't be their hands-on caregiver. Either because of past relationship with the individual and their sense of what your role is in their life, and they don't think you should be the boss of them, and they don't think you should be trying to do this for them. Or the other reason it doesn't work out, it's not a comfortable role for you. And if it's not working, there's nothing wrong with saying, this really isn't just working for me. I need another strategy. I need to do something else. The worst thing to do is keep doing what's not working, even though you know it's not working, because it's not going to break well. It's going to continue to be a problem. When it doesn't feel right and it doesn't fit right, it's probably not right. So let's talk about some of the skills we're going to build. Number one is increasing and improving your understanding of what this thing called dementia is and how it progresses. So we're going to work on that. We're also going to look at how do symptoms affect behavior and describes what some of the needs are that people might be experiencing connected to behavior. So you can look at a behavior now with a new vision of it. So let me give you a for instance. Early in this disease, some of the earliest things, what I might say is something like, listen, I need to get the car fixed because I need to go on vacation.
I'm the caregiver?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can't go on vacation.
What do you mean?
Not allowed to go by yourself. No.
Who are you to tell me I can go or I can't go? If I wanted you to come with me, do you not think I'd ask?
Well, I don't want to go, Mom, but you can't go either. Am I allowed to say that?
Only if you want to be hit. But that's a very common thing that caregivers will say is I can't take you right now. I mean, you're going to have to wait for a little bit. What I might actually be saying is I don't like how you're treating me right now, and what I want is I want a break from you. But I don't actually have all the skills to put all that together, and so what I'm saying is I want the car and I want to get out of here right now. But I don't have that ability to sort of put it all together and say it in a way that makes sense. We move a little further along in the disease. Hey, listen, I've got to go get the children from daycare.
We're all growing up, Mom.
Huh?
Everybody's growing up.
Who are you talking about?
Me.
Well, no, I'm talking about my little boy.
Oh, which one?
Well, my son.
Oh, he's dead, Mom. He died.
Oh, my God, he died?
I'm sorry.
He died?
Yeah, you don't remember, Mom?
Well, when did this happen? Oh, my God. Well, when is the funeral? When is the funeral? Oh, my God. Oh, my son is dead. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Okay. Later in the disease, because I'm actually lost in time, and we'll talk about what to do, but he's doing some nice, nasty things. I mean, talk about, boy, did I pick the meanest caregiver in the room. I can tell it's not intentional, but boy, he has the skill down, that's for sure. I'm not signing him up for my care, that's for sure. Disease progresses further. Hey, I need my mama. I need my mama, honey. I need my mama. I need my mama. Please, please, I need my mama. I need mama. I need my mama. I need mama. I need mama. I need mama. Now, those of you who are looking at my whole body, what do you realize that I might need? To go to the bathroom. By this point in the disease, I'm aware of some sensation, but I don't hook it all together. And so very frequently when folks are saying, I need to go home and I need my mama, what they're trying to express to you is a personal care need that they would feel most comfortably met by their mom being at home. And what you're missing, he made eye contact really, really well. He was not looking down at all. He totally missed the cue of what's wrong with me. The other statement I might make, a very common statement, is she needs help. She needs help. She needs help. Now, when you hear somebody say that, what's a very common thought in your mind? Who needs help? And what happens is I lose my pronoun processing very early on, and what I'm actually telling you is I need help. And so I say she needs help, but what I'm actually saying is I need some help. And I can't come up with the right words to say that. Then the disease progresses. I might actually have fallen and broken my hip and I can get up and walk on it. You all can't do things like that because your brains work. I might actually be that distressed because I have a broken hip. It could also be because I have a urinary tract infection. Maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I'm thirsty. Maybe I'm tired because I can no longer put together what's wrong. And so I might actually get, quote unquote, agitated and aggressive. Now, what do you think the normal response is when you have somebody like that and you're having a hard time communicating and you don't even know? What do you think the gut reaction is around the world right now? She needs medication. She needs some medication. We got to get her something on board. Probably Ativan, Geodon, Abilify, Zyprexa. Perhaps we should try some Seroquel, or we might need, we need something. We might need, Haldol's pretty heavy duty. You probably wouldn't do it yet, but you'd be thinking about, we got to do something. Maybe a psych admission. And what we missed is, that's my only way of communicating what my needs are. And we missed the boat. We were so busy looking at the behavior, we didn't investigate. We weren't good detectives. And we didn't try things out. Late in the disease, now, the reason this is happening, this isn't bad care, this is not poor quality care. By this point in the disease, my brain is losing its ability to tell my muscles to relax. And so what happens when the last part of my motor strip up here dies? All my muscles get left turned on. The ones that are strongest, flexion and adduction, which means I pull in and across with both my arms and my legs. And I can't sit up straight. I've become immobile. And I can't straighten out. And so I'm falling over to the side. And I'm making noise as I breathe because I can't relax my vocal folds. And so the air, every time the air moves in and out of my lungs, I make noise because I can't relax those, because you have to relax them to make that not happen. It also means when I go to eat and drink, I might actually swallow, and some of it will go down the wrong way, and it's going to end up in my lungs. So I have aspiration pneumonia with great frequency. The other problem is I don't get fevers, because by now the part of my brain that fights infection is starting to die. Because the whole brain is affected by this disease. So by late in the disease, my ability to fight infections, my immune system is starting to be destroyed and damaged. So I get an infection, and I don't spike a temperature. You put me on antibiotics, I do well on the antibiotics, I come off the antibiotics, another infection. Okay, and it's not poor care. It's really not poor care. What it is indication of progression of disease. By the end of this disease, the most common ways, if people make it all the way to the end of the disease, that they will die from this disease, the number one is pneumonia. And there are two types. There's infectious pneumonia and there's aspiration pneumonia. The second most common cause is dehydration. They die because they quit drinking. And they quit drinking because their brain says, you don't know what to do with that, so they actually quit drinking, or even when they take it in, they get the aspiration pneumonia. So, and they've tried feeding tubes, we've tried IVs, that doesn't really change the outcome of the situation. And the third is malnutrition. Folks die because they quit eating, which is part of the process. Then they also die of sepsis. And sepsis is where you get an infection that goes from a specific area in your body into the bloodstream. And so they die of an infection that gets into the bloodstream. And those are the most common ways that people die. But what's causing those things to happen is the progression and the advancement of the disease, dementia, the type of dementia. The typical one is Alzheimer's. But you can see others as well. There's lots of different ones. So we're going to be working on that whole thing. So what I did is just took you through the whole disease, connected with one of the behaviors, and understanding that behavior is critical. So not just assuming that you see something and you know what it is, because not necessarily. You want to problem solve through those behaviors, and understanding behaviors really matters where they are in the disease process. So you'd see something very different. So we're going to talk now, and I'm going to show you now some of the memory changes that take place. And to do that, I'm actually going to show you some pictures of autopsied brains. So what we have, here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at these autopsied brains. This is from the University of Alabama. This is work that was done by Dr. Richard Powers. And what we're going to look at here, these brains, these happen to belong to two men. These men were the same age when they died. They were the same physical size. They had the same measurement outside the skull of their brain. They were the same circumference around their skull. The only difference between these two gentlemen, the gentleman on this side Never had any dementing illness at all. His brain had absolutely no damage to it due to a dementing illness. This gentleman died after 10 years of Alzheimer's. Now, what do you notice right away? Size. It's estimated your brain will shrink down to 1/3 its original size by the time this disease kills you. You will lose 2/3 of your brain tissue. Now, I do want to point out, what's the first sign that most of us identify when we talk about dementia or Alzheimer's? What's the first symptom that everybody talks about? Memory problems. Here's a reality check. You cannot see the area of the brain in this picture where memory is made and stored. These are other parts of the brain that are damaged. So eventually, when this disease attacks, it spreads through the entire brain, and it spreads in a very predictable pattern. Okay? Its first area will be the memory center, but this area up here in the front, this is your prefrontal and your frontal cortex. This is the part of your brain that allows you to be the person you choose to be. It allows you to have a public self and a private self. It allows you to choose your behaviors. It allows you to consider your options before you make a decision. It allows you to think something and not say it. It allows you to think you want to do something and decide not to do it because the consequence of doing it are significant. This also means I might urinate or pee on a chair, get up, and say, look at this. This is what ticks me off. You see that girl right there? She comes around and pees in seats, and then I sat down and look, I am drenched. Or, I'm going to tell you something, y'all need to fix the ceiling here because it has leaked, and you have got a problem with the ceiling problem right here. Or, I spilled a glass of water on me. Because my brain is trying to figure out how in the world I got wet. Because I'm an adult. I would never pee on myself. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, there's absolutely no way that would happen. I would go to the bathroom. So when I see the evidence, my brain tries to figure out how did this happen. What it's called is confabulation. My brain makes up an answer to meet so it's trying its best to figure out how in the world did this take place. So it gives me information. It says, oh, well, there's a leak in the roof. There's a lady who peed. Whatever is coming up, it's coming up because my brain is trying to understand the reality of what it experienced. And it has no idea what really happened. It lies to me. Now, here's our problem. As caregivers, what do we think? I'm lying. I know what I did. I peed in that chair on purpose. I could have gotten up and gone to the bathroom. I did not do it. And so how angry can I get and frustrated as a caregiver? Well, she knows what she's doing. She sits there and she knows she's got to go. See, and she lies about it. You see it differently? Yeah, because it's not. My brain actually tells me a story. What happened was I didn't pick up on what was going on. Here's why. See this strip of brain right here? It's this center part right here. This is where your motor strip is and your sensory strip. So you have a motor strip that tells you motor movements, what to do, how to handle it, and the sensory strip is telling you what's going on all over your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. That's normally what's happening. So the information comes in and then I do something about it. So what happens here, look at this area of the brain compared to this area. Is there damage? A lot of shrinkage? Yeah. And then take a look back here in the back. This area back here is your ability to use vision to understand the world around you. So what happens is I don't process the world the same way you process the world. I have lots of trouble understanding the world. And so what this means is I can walk up, oh, I was looking for that, yeah. And I'm trying to brush my teeth with a pen. What if this was a razor? I could hurt myself and I wouldn't even know that that was what I was doing. I can try to comb my hair with a toothbrush. I can pick up deodorant, take the top off, and think it's an ice cream cone. Not because I'm being ornery, but because my visual center is damaged. My understanding of the world is damaged. And it's not just that. There's more stuff than that. We're going to talk and we're going to practice some more things because this really gets to be a problem. Because I don't understand the world the same way that you understand the world visually. And so I make mistakes. Yeah. I'll be back for you. Now, let's take a look at some specific parts of the brain. And the part we're going to look at right now is where it all starts. This is where it gets started. This is called the hippocampus, or the memory center. And this is the area of the brain where the damage gets started, right here. See this? Called a seahorse or a hippocampus. That's where it is. This is your ability to learn and store information. This is what it should look like. And this is what you have left by the end of the disease. Okay? So, let me show you the first symptom that crops up. You ready? It's the very first symptom you're going to notice. When I ask you, tell me 3 o'clock. Okay? And you can add more things because you have the big brain. Okay, you ready? Okay. Hey, listen, what time is my doctor's appointment?
3 o'clock.
Today?
Today.
This afternoon?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Well, what time is the appointment going to be?
3 o'clock.
Today?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I wish you'd told me earlier because this, well, that's all right. Oh, wait a minute. Before I go back upstairs, let me ask you something. Do you know, do I have a doctor's appointment?
Yes, you do today.
I do. When?
At 3.
Today?
Yeah.
Well, this is the first I've heard of it. Well, when did that get made?
I think on your last visit when you were here.
Well, I wish he'd have said something. What did he do? Call over here?
Maybe he told somebody that was with you last time.
Well, nobody goes with me to the doctor. I go by myself.
Oh. Well,
So how did you find out about it?
Oh, it was just in the computer here.
Huh.
So.
Well, okay, so now what time is it that I have an appointment?
3 o'clock.
Now, when? Today?
Today, yeah.
Well, I never. And this is, so who told you this?
Well, it's here on the computer. It says you have an appointment. So
Well, when is my
today.
appointment?
It's
Today?
Today, yeah.
What time?
3 o'clock.
Over and over and over and over. And this is early on, because early on, if I say to you, what time is my appointment? And you say, and I go, oh, 3 o'clock. If I have a normal brain, I can stick it right there. The other thing that will help me if I have a normal brain, even if I'm forgetful, I'll write it down. And my calendar becomes my lifeline. Everything is on my calendar, like you students. Some of you students experience this. If it's not on your calendar, first you've heard of it. Okay. Now you can experience some of these moments. That's sort of a cute confusional state for you all when you've been up too many nights in a row, that kind of thing. The third behavior that we typically see as the day goes on, the person that I approach is tired of me. And what they do is they look around to see who else is around. And it's called sick 'em. And as I come up, see, some of you actually know this one. As I come up, I say, do you know what time my appointment is? You go, honey, I don't know, but ask her. I think she knows. And it's basically you sick 'em on somebody else. Now, there's a place for that, and it's called teamwork. And when I say to my partner, you know what, I have about reached it with Teepa, I can't take it. What, can you take her for a little bit? That's one thing, but that's not what we're talking about. This is called get even time. Here, why don't you call your son, who never shows up and never does anything? Ask him. I mean, it's sort of that moment of I'm angry and I'm frustrated and I'm sending it somewhere else. And the last thing that almost universally happens, if it's in a healthcare setting, like an assisted living or a special care unit or a nursing home or whatever, as I stand up to start to ask the receptionist that one more time, every other resident yells, 3 o'clock! Your appointment's at 3 o'clock! This woman is driving me damn crazy. I'm calling my son and telling her to get me the hell out of here. I can't take this anymore. True or not true? Absolutely true. Now, this is frustrating. This is just like, I can't handle this anymore. This lady's making me nuts. Here's what we need to realize. These folks ask the question over and over again because where they should have a storage space, all there is a hole. They're missing the piece where they can hook it on. They won't be able to hook it on. And our old strategies, don't you remember? Come on, let me write you a note. None of those things are going to work because they can't hold on to the new data. It's new data. They can't. The emotional stuff, they care about going to the doctors. That's why they can hold on to that. It's emotional. What they can't hold on to is the time, the specifics. So here's what we're going to do instead. Number one, we've got to get connected to the individual. So we've got to actually spend energy and time getting connected. And that's what we're going to work on in this next little segment. We're going to work on how do you approach and connect to the individual. Once we're connected, what we are going to say is we are going to, number one, and this is the classic thing you need to do, repeat their words. Repeat the thing they asked you, but put a question mark on it, which says to the person with dementia, I'm listening to you. The next thing you're going to do, you're going to answer their question, but you're not just going to use words, you're also going to use a visual cue. Because there's 3 ways we deliver information. Visual cues, verbal cues, and touch cues. We show them, we tell them, we touch them. Show, tell, touch. You always want to go in that order, in that sequence when you're working with dementia. Visual cue first, then a verbal cue, and only then a touch cue. So you show them, you tell them, you touch them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show them and tell them the information. Then what I'm going to do, I am going to redirect the attention. I am going to give them new words, go to a new place, start a new activity. New words, new place, start a new activity. If I choose not to do that, they can't stop. I've got to actually shift gears for them. I've got to help them move from where we are doing what we're doing to a new place. So here's how it works. You're now the lady, you be the lady who's wanting to know what time your doctor's appointment is, okay? So come up and ask me, what time is my doctor's appointment? And tell me your name. Judy. Okay, Judy, come on up. Now, I'm just a caregiver, and I'm got lots of things to do. I'm busy, and I'm not really paying that much of attention to what's going on. So go ahead. Oh, hey, Judy. Hey, it's Teepa. Hey, you're wanting to know what time your doctor's appointment is?
Yes.
Yeah, it's at 3 o'clock today. At 3. Ooh, you know what?
What?
Before then, could you help me a few minutes?
Sure.
Let me show you what I got. Here's what we need to do. We need to get these papers picked up and taken over here. Can you help me with that?
Sure.
Go ahead, get those up, and let me show you. I'm going to tell you where to put them. Now, what have I just done with Judy? Redirected her. But what did I do first with Judy? I connected to her. I responded to her question, and then I redirected. You can't redirect if you don't connect first. You got to connect before you redirect. And the connection was this. Judy asked me a question. Go ahead.
It's my appointment.
Hey, Judy. Hey, it's Teepa. Now notice, I just didn't immediately answer the question. Hey, Judy. It's Teepa. Hey. Now, how am I connected? Visually, verbally, and hand. I've got this hand. Then I say, you're wanting to know what time your appointment is. I repeated her question to let her know I heard her. I'm listening. I know what she's wanting. I think it's at 3 o'clock. Visual and verbal. I'm giving her a visual cue in addition to that verbal. Sometimes the visual will stick better than the verbal. And I'll show you why in the brain that might be. Then I say, ooh, you know what? Before then, could you help me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm going to give her something new to do. And I ask, and I need some help. And here's what we're going to do. Here's what we need. And what we want to do is go to a new place. And the reason we want to go to a new place, I don't know what might be cueing that question in the environment. What are some possibilities in the front lobby of a building that might cue the question, what time is my doctor's appointment? Transportation. Cars moving in and out. Yep, they see the cars, other people's cars going and coming. What else? Clock. Yes, they see a clock, and the clock is enough. Ooh, wow. The nurse or a doctor or somebody with name tag hanging off with their stethoscope around, walking around. Yep, what else? Somebody else asking questions. What else? A reception desk. A reception desk might be enough. What about an appointment thing that she sees? What about other family members walking off with somebody? Traveling in and out, and they're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Let's see, what am I supposed to do? What else might be making them ask the question? Not early on, but later in the disease. They might be hurting. When do I have a doctor's appointment? That might be their way of saying, gee, I'm uncomfortable, I need to see the doctor. So you see how early in the disease it's just a symptom of the disease. Later on, it might be a significant symptom that something is going wrong for that individual. One of the things that we want to pay attention to here is that that's not the only thing. So what have they lost? What skill have they lost? Not exactly. What specific skill in memory? The ability to hold on to new information. What do they have? Old information. Long ago memories. They're actually very good at long ago memories. So that is the other thing you're going to see that bothers you, that irritates the crap out of you is this. Hey, listen. Hey, baby, did I ever tell you I was from West Virginia?
Yes, you did. That's very nice.
I did?
Yes. Tell
When did I tell you that? I didn't tell you that. Who's been talking about me? Who has told you about me? See, this is what pisses me off. You and your damn big mouth. You have no business telling her. Uh-oh. Now what happens to her? She's going to get hit. What happens to me? I get drugs. What happens to her? Nothing. Who started it? Her, because she insisted I had already told her. Here's the problem. Do I remember that I've already told her? Can I remember that I've already told her? So here's what you want to do. Instead of saying, yeah, you did or no, you didn't. Instead, what you want to say, here's the phrase, tell me about it. Tell me about it doesn't encourage you to lie or tell the truth. What it does is open the door, because that's really what I want you to do anyway. I want to talk. Will you listen is what I'm actually asking. When I ask, have I ever told you I'm from West Virginia? So what you want to do is just say, tell me about it. Tell me about it is the right answer. Doesn't matter whether I've told you before or not, because what it says is you want to listen. Okay, so let me give you another chance because I'm nice. Hey, listen, honey, have I ever told you I'm from West Virginia?
Tell me about that.
Yeah, hey, look here, my grandma raised me on a farm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hey, listen, do you know how to kill a chicken?
No, I don't.
Yeah, look here, look, take it by the neck, hold to it, and ring it round real hard. Honey, its head will pop off.
Oh, that's nice.
Do it outside because they run and they'll bleed all over. So don't do it in the house. Make you a good chicken, though.
Yes.
Yeah, hey, listen, did I ever tell you I was from West Virginia?
Tell me about that.
Yeah, there you go. Good job. Now, when you're tired of hearing my story, because how many times am I going to tell you my story?
40.
Oh, lots, because I like to have you connected. What are you going to do? Yeah, bingo. Now, here's the deal. What we used to say is, oh, don't let them tell their stories too often. That might take them back in time. You know what? There's not a thing you can do about it. And we have actually learned that reminiscing and telling those stories is a good thing. Because what you actually do when you have them tell those stories, you fire up their brain cells. And it keeps the ones they have alive, functioning, because they're burning brain cells. They're actually making them work. They're firing. It's happening. Those synapses are making those connections. That's a good thing. The other reason you want to learn those stories, as the disease progresses, I will lose the ability to tell my stories. And it's real important on a bad day that you know my stories. Because, hey, listen, hey, have you seen my grandma? I'm looking for my grandma. Have you seen her?
Where's she from?
Huh?
Where's she from?
I don't know, but she was just here. What he's trying to do is use what has traditionally been a way of connecting, which is to ask questions. Here's the problem. When this disease is striking, what you have to realize, what you just asked me was called a confrontational question. You asked me a confrontational question. It's something I should know. Where's your grandma from? What's her name? What does she look like? What if in that moment I don't know it? What's happening? It's frustrating. What else is it? Scary. Is it going to make me want to connect to you? No, it's going to make me be even more concerned that now I don't even know where she's. I should know that. Am I going to listen more to you? No. Again, this is where what you want to learn is how to connect and how to respond. Okay, so everybody has a partner. Where's my partner? All right, what we're going to do is we're going to move you over here so they can all see us. All right. All right, so what you want to do with you and your partner, one person sit in the chair. And what I'm going to have you do is the other person is going to stand behind the chair. And what I'm going to take you through is why we do what we do when we're going to interact with people who have dementia. Why it is so critical that we are very careful about our physical approach to them. So here's what you're going to do. Oops, you need a partner. He's taking a break. He'll be back. All right. Here's what I want you to do. What's the first connection that I talked about? Visual, then verbal, then touch. Now, there's two more ways we want to connect to people. The ring finger, and you can use your hand as sort of a guide. The ring finger stands for emotional connection to the person, and the little finger stands for individual connection. And if you think about it in sign language, this is the symbol for I or me. This is I. And that's a powerful little finger right there, because if you don't connect to the person individually, you rarely are successful. But it has to start with a visual connection. What I want to show you is what happens if you don't do that. And you guys do not have dementia, but I want you to realize how uncomfortable it makes you feel. So people who are sitting in the chair, close your eyes for just a second. Caregivers, close your eyes, it's okay. Caregivers, do this. Step back. Caregivers, do this. Step back. Caregivers, do that. Caregivers, do this. Caregivers, do this. Go ahead. Now, how many people in the chair, now notice your caregiver won't even do it because he's scared you might hit him. How many people in the chair are getting pretty uncomfortable with what's happening? Why do you think? Because it's a little scary when people start doing things to you, and it's like, whoa, 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 what is going on here? People in the chair, close your eyes again. Close your eyes. No, in the chair, close your eyes. Caregivers, here's what I want you to do this time. Now, how many people in the chair noticed that when you actually tried to move their chair, they jerked a little bit? Why is that uncomfortable to have somebody just suddenly move your chair when you're not expecting it? Whoa, it's like, what's going on? How many times do you think people with dementia are sitting at a table or sitting in a hallway or sitting in their room, and we walk up from behind and say, what's your first name? Joe? Mm-hmm. Joe? Now, what you actually thought you said was, Joe, I'm going to help you up and take you down to the dining room, all right? What did Joe hear? And he didn't actually understand we were talking to him. The first thing he knows, I'm jerking the chair. What do you think Joe might do? Ah! Flight, fight, fright. Automatic reaction. What's happening is I got Joe all stirred up. Now, Joe's stirred up. How well is he going to eat supper? How well is he going to go going into the bathroom and letting me take his clothes off? I mean, all these things that we want to do, we forget. We're the ones that sometimes start it because we touch before we make sure we have the visual connection and the verbal connection. And it's not just stuff like that. What if I see my friend Joe? Oh, he's one of my favorites. I love him to death. Here's what I want you to do with your partner. Y'all close your eyes. Close your eyes, no peeking. Okay, caregivers. Hey! Ooh. Go ahead. How many people in the chair go, ooh, ooh, ooh? Now, I also want you to take a look and notice how many of them are protecting their crotch right now. And I want you to realize you all started off with your arms on the chair, and gradually, over the course of us messing with you, your hands are right here. And none of you are demented. And yet, we got you to do that in just 4 trials. Imagine you lived in a place that happened all day, every day. How's that going to go? You're going to stay like this, and everything's going to scare you. And the next time we have to give you perineal care, how well is that going to go? You're not participating. So first rule, always swing around so they can see you. Come from the front. Now, what you may want to do is push those chairs, come on around the front of them. And what you may want to do is push your chairs back a little bit more, because I want you to realize that space matters. Okay? Good. Yeah, about right like that. That's perfect. I want you to be at least 6 feet away from the person. Because in the last 2 years, there's been some new training, some new information that's come out. And here's what that information is. Human beings have an awareness of other human beings in 3 zones of space. 3 zones. Public, personal, intimate. Public, personal, intimate. Public space is where we see people, but we don't have to interact with them. Personal space is space that you own. You feel like it's yours. You own it. Intimate space, you be intimate. Intimate space is for intimate things. So intimate space is when we want to be intimate. So think for a second. Who are you typically wanting in your intimate space? An intimate space, let me show you where it is. Take your hands, go down here, make your hands like this, and come all the way up and go out. This is your intimate bubble. This is intimate space. So who do you want in this intimate space? Significant other. Babies. We want babies. When they get too old, though, we don't really want them in there that much. I mean, we turn them around and we look at books together, but we don't really want them facing us that much, other than for a quick contact and then out. A really good friend. If you haven't seen a really good friend in a long time, Oh my God, hey, how are you? And we come in like this, and then we back off. And notice how far we back off. We get out of each other's intimate space and move back to just being in personal space. Intimate space is for intimate stuff. And what we need to realize as caregivers, quit sticking your face in people's intimate space. Because you're going to get a reaction to that. They're either not going to want you there, or they're going to think, you want to be intimate. And then you're turning your head and going, no, that's not what I meant. Okay? So let's talk about the difference between public and personal. Public space is determined by culture. Public versus personal. In the American culture, public space stops 6 feet out, and then it turns into personal space. We like personal space in the United States. We're a space-hungry nation. We really love our space. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to walk up to 6 feet, so you're approximately 6 feet away from your person. The best way to think about it, there's a dead body lying on the ground between you. Yeah, you don't really want to be walking on a dead body without permission there, okay? All right, so pause at the boundary of personal and space. And what you want to do is get permission to come in. Now, if you've walked up, what kind of contact do you have with the person at this point? Visual. You've got the visual contact. Now you're going to do verbal. Joe, hey. Here's the next thing you're going to do. You're going to give a visual. And here's the visual. Flat open hand near the face. Try it. Just flat open hand near the face. What you want to do, target. Look at my mouth. This is where the info is going to come from. The other reason you want this to be a target, here's the very next thing you're going to do. You want to move into personal space. Do this. And what I'm doing is getting permission to enter. So it's walk up to 6 feet boundary marker. Joe, hey. Offer your hand. When you get an indicator that it's okay, what do? Move into personal space and shake the hand. Try that with your partner. Say their name. Hey, so-and-so. Hey, whoever it is. Now, if they're real slow, good. I'm glad you paused. He didn't look like he was processing right then. We want to give him a second. Okay? Now, so what we want to do now is realize how important that space boundary marker is. I want you to realize it's not made up, it's real. So people in the chair, close your eyes. Okay? What we're going to do, when I count 1, 2, 3, you'll open your eyes. But till then, keep them closed. When I say 3, people who are the caregivers, what I want you to do, when I say 1, 2, 3, I want you to stand where you are and go. Okay? Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Now, people in the chair oh, that one went to sleep too long. She drifted off on us. That's what happens when you've got students. They went on to sleep. Lord, she went out. Okay, we got to watch her. She has a hearing problem. Hearing problem. Uh-huh. Looked to me like she had a sleeping problem. All right, so now, people who saw us waving and looking like that, grinning, what went through your mind? What in the world? What are they doing? But were any of you really scared? No, you were just going weird but interesting. Stay where you are. Nobody was inviting us in. You were all going, ha, 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 weird people. Okay? But because we were at 6 feet, you weren't freaking out. Close your eyes again. Caregivers, move up so you're only 3 feet away. And when I do the same count, here's what y'all are going to do. This and that. Okay, you ready? On 3. You guys open your eyes on 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, is that different? That's a little freaky, isn't it? That's like, whoa, 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 way too close. Back up to 6 feet. And what I want you to do on this one is, Joe, hey. And I want you to walk in really fast. Go in really fast to see if speed makes a difference. Go ahead and do it. Go. How many people in the chair going, whoa, 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 way too fast, way too fast? Yeah, hang on, hang on. Now, if you think the handshake doesn't matter, okay, because it's just your approach, it's not the handshake, put your hands down. Joe, hey, how are you? You doing okay? So lead in and lead with your face, but be real friendly like we do with old people. Go ahead and try it and see what happens. How many people in the chair are going, what are you doing and what are you up to and what are you going to do when you get here? Because when you don't show them anything, when you don't give them a visual cue of what's going to happen when you arrive, it makes them more nervous about what's going on. What if I do, Joe, and I starting to do things to you? Go ahead and try that with your partner. Yeah, we'll get to Joe. Joe's one of those kind. We'll get back to him. Yeah, he's going to cause trouble. So just walk up to your partner, run your mouth on the way in, and quickly start doing something to them, and notice their reaction. Go ahead. Yeah, it's like, and you think it won't bother you when it's you in the chair. It bothers you because it's sort of like somebody's coming up to you and starting to do something. You're not quite sure what they're about because they said something, but you couldn't quite make out what it was they said. Because when people with dementia get a visual cue and a verbal cue, the one they pay the most attention to is what they see, not what they hear. And so all they did was see you coming, and they didn't hear what you said, even though you might have told them. So you've got to break it down. You've got to do approach, connect, then task. Never tell them what you're going to do on the way in. There's no point to it. Just greet them on the way in. Greet before you start to treat. Okay? So what we've got now, nice and slow, come on in, shake hands. So shake your partner's hand. Now here's the problem. Once you shake hands, normally what would you do? Let go. Well, then you're going to have to start all the way over with a visual cue again, and you don't want to have to do that. But notice how uncomfortable it is to continue to shake and hold on to somebody's hand, and it's sort of like, okay, that's enough, let go. And there's something else that will happen later in the disease. When they shake your hand, and if you leave it there too long, one of the very common things they'll do is start squeezing it because they actually have a little bit of what's called a grasp reflex. And then when they feel something in their hand, they squeeze. And they'll often grit their teeth while they do it. And it makes you think they're doing it on purpose. It's a reflexive action. Okay? And it's often connected to a gritting of the teeth. Yeah. So what do we want to do? Well, this is what I call the receiving line hand thing, where you just hold their fingers. This is an oldie. Try this one, just holding their fingers and pat the back of their hand. Hey. Now, how many people in the chair are going, let go of my fingers? That's about enough of that. And especially when you pat the back of the hand, any of the old nurses in the group think we're trying to do what? Raise a vein. Yeah, they're a little nervous at this point. Now, all you're trying to do is be friendly, but they think you're actually trying to do no good to them. So instead, shake and soul shake. So what I want you to do is thumb to thumb, palm to hand. Turn it so their hand is on top of yours. So you've got it, you're holding on at the base of their thumb. There you go. There you got it. Yeah. Now, here's what I want you to realize. This is actually a very comfortable hand position. Here's the other thing that's really important about it. What you're actually doing is applying a little bit of pressure to the palm. Pressure in a human palm is calming. It's one of the things that calm us down. That's why we use stress balls. It's also why we will often bake bread, scrub counters, use power tools, go out and rake, go out and do things in the car. We will actually work on things that give us some power. I think one of the reasons that people like stick shifts in cars, no, you get some pressure. How many guys who drive the stick shifts actually keep your hand on the control over there even though you're not doing it? Yeah. Because it actually calms you down, and you can feel yourself ease down and relax a little bit once you get in control and you're feeling comfortable. So pressure in your palm is actually a calming technique. Here's the other thing that can happen. Get to the side of your person so that you're not right in front of them, and hold their hand like this, and just relax your arm a little bit. You're not in the best position, but you can get the feel of this. What I want you to do, person who has dementia, look away. Get distracted by the world. Okay, it won't take long. And what I want you to do, caregiver, lay your other hand on top of their hand and then give them a little pump in the palm. And notice what they'll do automatically. It's absolutely, you can count on it happening. It may be slow, it will happen because eye-hand coordination is one of the very first established tracks in the brain. Infants touch something and then they look at it to see what it is. And what I'm doing is using the oldest well-formed track in the brain to redirect their attention to me. So even though the environment distracted them, something in the dining room, something in the living room, something that they saw, instead of yelling at them, I just do this, and all of a sudden they're looking right back at me, and I can deliver another message. If I don't have their hand, one of two things is what you're going to be tempted to do. Joe, look at me. Joe, look at me. Where's my face? Intimate space. The other thing you might be tempted to do, Joe's not paying any attention. Joe, look. Look, Joe. What's going to happen to me? I'm going to get hit. Who will I blame? Joe. Who did it? Me. Because I didn't realize that touching Joe around his trunk, leaning into his intimate space, causes him to react. And I'll blame Joe. I'm the one that started it. So this handhold is incredibly important because it connects us, but it also protects us. Protects both of us. If I do not have Joe's hand, and I start to do something and Joe doesn't like it, okay? No, Joe, it's okay. Joe, stop. Stop, Joe. Stop. The first place I will typically grab is the wrists, the forearms, to get him to stop doing something. That includes if he's just trying to stop me or if he grabs me. So go ahead, he starts to grab me to get me to stop. What I'll do is stop. Now, you need to stop. Now, the very first place people lose fat on their bodies. Who in the room is in their early 20s? Anybody in their early 20s? Yeah, come here just a second. Let's take a look at you. You're a good example. Turn around. All right, now, here we go. Everybody here take a look for just a second. Let me show you something. When you're a toddler, you have so much fat under the skin on your hand and your forearm, you do not have knuckles, you have dimples. Toddlers have about 1/4 inch of fat on the back of their hands, all the way up their arms. And their skin is really thick with fat. I mean, they got a nice fat pad up under there. Fat does two things. It insulates and it pads. When you're in your early 20s, you still got a nice fat pad. You got about 1/4 inch down here and about 1/8 of an inch down here, and you still have about 1/4 inch up here. Okay? So notice, can you see all the veins and tendons in his hand? No, you really can't, because he still has a little fat pad up under there. I'm in my 50s. Take a look. You can see them all. Look at this. That's loose because I've lost my fat pad. It's gone. It's traveled right here to my trunk. That's why we're apples and pears. We lose it. It all goes off your arms, up your shins, and off the top of your head. You lose your fat pads. And the skin gets really thin and saggy because there's no fat up under it. There's you don't have it. Now notice up here. Up here, he's still got I can't even get it pinched up. Look at mine. It's getting saggy. So when I drive, it flies off the back of my arm. You know, it's really depressing because I used to be able to tighten my arm up and it would come back. Not anymore, because I'm losing my fat pad. By the time I'm 85, I have no fat pad at all. Not on my hand, not up my arm. So what I have is very thin, fragile skin, and right underneath that are blood vessels and nerves. So, what's your first name?
Paul.
Paul. Paul's trying to help me, and I'm not liking it. So go ahead and do something. And he has to grab me because I'm trying to hit him. And I grab him. Now, an hour later, my daughter shows up. Now, Paul has absolutely nothing wrong with him. I have bruises all over my forearm and a skin tear. Does it make sense that I hit Paul? No. Who beat me up?
Yes, I did.
Instead, if Paul has me like this, and he has me like that, he's in control, and he's not going to hurt me. This handhold, it's called hand under hand, is incredibly powerful for protecting and connecting both of you. It keeps you out of trouble as a caregiver. Because if I have that person's hand, I know where it is and I know what it's doing, and he knows where my hand is. And as we get further along in the disease, Joe, I'm going to do your zipper. Now notice what kind of cue is this? Visual. And I said, I'm going to do your zipper, okay? Then what I'm going to do, take his hand with me and do that. So with your partner, instead of doing to them, you want to do with them. So take their hand along for the ride, and their brain understands what you're going to do. Go ahead and try it. Okay. Okay, try this one. Joe, I want you to take a bite. You hold the spoon. You, the person who is the helper, hold the spoon like you would normally hold a spoon and bring it up to their mouth. Bring it up to their mouth. And all of a sudden, Joe understands what I want him to do. Very different than take a bite, Joe, take a bite. Or let's brush your teeth. Or let's shave. I would do it, actually, with in real life, I would just go ahead and help him load the spoon and do it. Yeah, no, I would go ahead and put the spoon and say, Joe, go ahead and take a bite. Very different this way versus this way. Okay? And the reason I want to do that, it cues him into what's going on. This is really, really important. And notice, how do you know I want you to stand up? I'm giving you cues, yeah. This is really, really important when you're trying to do perineal care. Here, Joe, let me get hold of this and let me get your pants. Now, notice, Joe is like, oh, wait a minute. Now, Joe, being the nice guy that he is mostly trying to hold his pants up and keep me out. But if I keep on, what do you think he might finally give up and try to do? Hit me, because I won't stop, and he doesn't know what else to do. I've run him out of options. Instead, Joe, hey, I want you to do your pants right here. See? Right here. There we go. Okay. There you go. Good. All right. Now, Joe, I want you to clean yourself up. Now, notice this. What I'm doing is locking my thumb with his thumb. So I have my glove, I have my wipe or my cloth. Take your other hand and put it on the shoulder. The reason you want to put it on the shoulder, I want to actually trick his brain into paying attention to two places that I'm touching him, because this place is going to be real sensitive. And what I want to do is give him another place to pay attention to. If I take this hand off, the intensity of the touch here becomes very, very high. If I have 2 points of contact, it distributes it. Same thing at the mouth. So one of the things when you're working on eating or feeding is to put your hand at the shoulder so that you're giving their brains another place to pay attention to. So the hypersensitivity around the mouth, which can develop, doesn't bother them as much. It works. It does, doesn't it? I mean, funny, it feels really different, doesn't it? Yeah. So what I'm doing is tricking a brain into acknowledge and allowing me to do things that it wouldn't otherwise allow me to do. Okay? So let's go right back, though, and finish up the approach. So that's what you're going to do with your hands. So normally you're just shaking hands, but that's a lead-in to more things. Yes. Yeah, you got it. Perfect. No, you got it. You're just practicing. That's good. Hey, Joe. Hey. Come on in. Now, here's what I want you to do. Drop the hand. Stand in front of your partner. Because I want you to appreciate where you stand matters. Stand right in front of him. Stand in front. Get right there in front, and I want you to grin. Hey. Now, it seems like they're getting a little nervous. So I want you to lean in and say, it's okay. Now, how many people are feeling like it's okay? How many of you are going, what do you want? Get out of my face. That's enough already. Okay? Now, let's say it's been a long day. You're getting tired. You're worn out as a caregiver. And you know he's wet and he's going to tell you he doesn't want to be changed. And it's like you are at your last wit's end. I mean, you have reached your limit. So caregivers, women, we'll start with the women, then we'll do the men. Women, cock that hip out, hands on the hips, look over your glasses at him, and shake your finger. Now, how many people in the chair are going, should I break it or bite it? There might be one person in the chair who's going, Mom, I am so sorry I made you angry. Okay, most of you shot, yeah, you had done something wrong. Yeah, I knew I could get you. You're good. You're the demented person I want. You'll never hit. You'll just sort of flee. You know, it's like, okay. Men, here's yours. You're slightly different. You ready? This is the guy stance. It's called the stance of intimidation. That's the female stance. Here's the male stance. Men walk forward. They plant their front foot. They rock back. They cross their hands across their chest. And then when they're ready, they come in for the kill. Okay, now, Go for it, Paul. Oh, you need to work on that intimidation thing. Oh, there you go. You had it. You had it. That's it. Now, let me ask people in the chair, did any of you feel like doing what we asked you to? No. Could you care less? Yeah, because what we did is called a confrontational stance. How many of you think people who have dementia are going to back off once you confront them? No way. They're like, absolutely not. And here's what I actually thought I said. Hey, Joe, listen, it's about time for supper. Now, I can either take you to the dining room or I can bring your meal up here. Which would you rather have me do today? Because I could do either one, but you need to pick, okay? I want you to tell, Joe, look at me. Look. Now, what is Joe thinking? He doesn't know what to think because I freaked him out. I think he's being ornery and stubborn and not even paying attention to me. And Joe's just going, get out of my face, get out of my face. He's not listening to me at all. Because I'm being confrontational. Because what kind of cue is this? This is visual. This is verbal. Is he listening to my words? Oh, he's watching my body. So here's what we want to do instead. Hey, Joe. Hey. Look pleasant. Shake. Turn. Body is turned 90 degrees. Shoulder facing forward. Face facing toward him at arm's length. Try that. See how that feels to the person in the chair. Like that better? There you go. Now step to the side. There you go. Perfect. And stay to the side. Now stay up near their knees. And I'll show you why that is in just a second. Don't go too far back their body. Don't get too far back. Stay out toward the front a little bit. But turn your body so it's facing across them, and then turn your face to match them. How many people in the chair like this a lot better? If you think you don't, turn like this again. This stance blocks them in visually as well as physically, and it causes them to want to be confrontational. Switch to the side. This has a term in literature. It's called supportive stance. I'm here to support you, not to confront you. Gives them a visual avenue of escape, a physical avenue of escape, and all of a sudden the emotional tenor drops right down. Okay? Now there's one last piece of the puzzle. The reason I told you all to stay up here at knee level. This is one of the changes that happens as people have developed dementia. First change is just normal aging vision. So watch, don't hit each other. Look straight ahead, put your arms out to the side. Concentrate on a spot straight in front of you with your eyes and wiggle your fingers. Young people can actually have their arms way out to the side, look straight ahead and see their fingers. The older you get, the more you have to bring them in a little bit. The reason you have to bring them in is because your brain is getting old. And as your brain is getting old, it slows down just a little bit. It can't handle all the data that it used to be able to handle. And what it's called peripheral inattention. This is not glaucoma. This is normal aging vision. You lose the edges of your vision because your brain goes, you know the most important part of vision? The middle. Ignore the edges, too much data. Just pay attention to the center. And it's not just side to side, it's top to bottom too. Okay? So by the time you're 75, normal vision changes. This is your normal field of vision, about like this, about 45 degrees off center. With dementia, the damage to the occipital or the visual processing area is so severe. Their brains are really bad off at this point. What happens here, take your hands, put them about 12 inches apart, make a circle. This is the visual world of a person with middle to late stage dementia. The best way for y'all to get a figure on this one, put on binoculars. Now get up and move around a little bit. Get up and walk and notice how everything's changing. Go ahead, it won't hurt you. Get up and move. Realize how much everything changes, how your walking changes, how the world. Notice how hard it is to look at the whole world and know what's going on. Notice that you pay more attention to the ground. Notice that your shoulders come forward. You're taking shorter steps. Okay, all of that is happening because the vision changes. But that's not all. It doesn't stop there. It continues to get worse. By late dementia, new problem. Your brain goes, too much data. And what it says is, only listen to one eye. Shut down input from the other eye. They don't process both eyes. They only process one. And what they develop is called monocular vision. So what I want you to do, one eye. Now, try to judge how far away something is. Reach out and try to judge distance. And what you'll have is you lose all depth perception. You have absolutely no ability to tell whether that is just a pattern on the carpet or something that needs to be picked up. You can't tell whether you're setting the cup down on the edge of the plate or beside the plate. So spills, errors in judgment. Now what happens if Joe only has his center field of vision and I come in like this? Yeah, you're seeing something. Now, what if I come in like this and I say, hey, sweetheart, hey, let's get your clothes off and get you in the bed.
Yeah.
And Joe's thinking, all right, let's get your clothes off and get me in the bed. And Joe's not thinking health care. Joe's thinking he just got lucky. And Joe starts reaching out and touching me. And what will we label that as? Sexually inappropriate. What's Joe saying? I thought she wanted to have sex. She said she's going to get my clothes off and put me in the bed. And this is where our communication breaks down. So this is where the last piece of the puzzle, Joe, hey, you want to come in and instead of standing in front and instead of standing at all, get to the side and down. Either sit down or get down. And what happens is Joe has now got me in his central field of vision and the part of me that I want him to have in the central field of vision, which is my face. And so from now on, now we're in a communication mode. Now we've got it happen. All right. Ready? Come on, let's go. Real different. And what made it real different? What I chose to do.